Welcome to the lore of Rundown 5 through 6 of GTFO. I will be covering the base rundowns as well as the extensions of each rundown. I recommend, if you don't know the lore of rundowns 1 through 4, go watch my other video, as well as my video on the Nom-V and parasites. I will put links in the comments as well as a thing in the top right corner. So, we begin. We start with R5. R5 is pretty simple. We are tasked with getting more supplies for the warden, yada yada. However, on R5-C2, we finally meet the one and only Schaefer. He talks to his brother in an audio log to go at least 1100 meters and then type the code resist into a console. There's only one level in R5 that goes that deep, that is D1. In D1, the warden has us go down very, very deep. Deep as we have ever gone before, and we have to reset a reactor in order to, I guess, set up for an unknown objective that the warden has for us later in the rundown. Sadly though, on D1, even though it's below the depth of 1100 meters, if we type resist into a console, nothing happens. So with that, we move on to R5 Extended. This time, we are actually told what the objective is that we started in R5-D1. We are trying to get supplies and disable the security protocol so we can be sent down to the KDS Deep. The KDS Deep is a secure facility within the complex that is huge and extremely deep within the complex. Most likely is at the bottom of the complex, but is not confirmed nor denied. Also worthy to mention, KDS Deep is probably one of the most likely spots that the Nom-V virus got released from the two idiot scientists that got it released. It is not confirmed, it's not denied, but it's most likely either that location or somewhere outside the complex. Anyways, to get back on track, KDS Deep, as I said, is one of the most secure places, so Rundown 5 Extended is just us getting more and more supplies and trying to break the security protocol so that the warden can get us down there for an unknown reason. We finally find out what the objective of the warden is to send us down to the KDS Deep in R5 Extended E1. We find out that the warden is getting control of 40,000 security officers that were in hibernation. Now that we gave the warden the 40,000 officers to have a small army, we are transported back to the service and we move on to Rundown 6. With the beginning of Rundown 6, I just want to preference, make sure to put on your big boy pants because shit is about to get real. We start Rundown 6 in R6-A1. In A1, we are tasked with retrieving Artifact 7 of the Hammerstein Collection. The Hammerstein Collection is a collection of alien artifacts found within the building of the complex. Artifact 7 of the collection is the Matter Wave Projector, or MWP. And when used, the Matter Wave Projector will transport us to a whole different plane of existence. And what I mean by teleport you to a whole new plane of existence, well, you gotta see for yourself.
We're not even gonna have to go that way, watch.
I just wanted to see extraction.
Wait.
What the fuck?
What the hell?
This isn't extraction!
What the fuck?
Wait, what's the cave?
Where are
What's
we?
in
A
the
fucking
cave?
dream? Oh, we're in a dream.
So yeah, that happened. We aren't really sure how it works. I believe it has something to do with quantum entanglement, or it could just be the technology that the aliens possessed beforehand to make this device. As of now, it is unknown how this works, but it is theorized to use some sort of quantum mechanics in order to teleport between realities. Anyways, we get this Matter Wave Projector, bring it back, and escape. Now we move on to B1. In B1, we are tasked with getting coordinates for data cubes. Data cubes are artifacts that can store... we actually really don't know what they can store, but in this case, they are storing coordinates for an outpost in the different reality called Alpha 1. Also, for the memes, I'll be referring to this destination or alternate reality as Arizona. So, we get the coordinates of these data cubes while in B1, and we also meet a new enemy. I like to call it the meatball monster, or Pastafarianism monster, whatever you like to call it, but these are these flying things that have tentacles that follow them. So, after we get the coordinates, we fight off meatball monsters and eventually escape back up the elevator. It is unknown if the meatball monster is an infected alien or just a mutated sleeper, but the lore community likes to think that the meatballs are just infected animals of the alien's world. We then move on to B2. B2 is just getting an HSU sample for the warden, nothing new. We don't know why he wants it, but he tells us to get it. Then we move on to C1. C1, we are finally tasked with retrieving the data cubes for the warden. While picking up the data cubes, every single time a data cube is picked up, you'll be transported to a different reality. It is unknown if this reality is Arizona or just a different reality of Earth. Anyways, after the prisoners get all 3 data cubes, they then escape to go on to C2. C2 is pretty straightforward. We are just restarting a reactor so the warden can have more power. We then move on to C3. C3 just has a set up distraction for unknown reasons. We then move on to D1. In D1, we use the coordinates we found in the data cubes in combination with the matter wave projector in order to jump to Outpost Alpha 1. Outpost Alpha 1 is an outpost inside Arizona created by San Antonio Mining Company. We are in Alpha 1 in order to secure the pathogen genome database for the Warden so they can restart the primary restoration initiative. In order to get this pathogen genome database, we have to go restart the reactor in Alpha 1. When we begin the restart sequence for the reactor, we begin a new boss fight with a new enemy known as Kraken officially, or personally I like to name it the Cloyster from Pokemon. Funny little detail, in the game files, the Kraken, the Cloyster, whatever you want to call it, is referred to as Squidward. Then, once we defeat the boss, we leave with the database transmitted to the Warden. We then move on to D3. In D3 we have to get more power because the database needs to be decrypted, which I guess consumes a whole lot of power. We succeed in getting the power, but the Warden does something wacky and disrupts the security system, so we are forced to survive through a bunch of waves of enemies and escape. In D4, we are tasked to retrieve a data cube that has been tampered with by Project Insight. I don't think I've mentioned, Project Insight is a highly secretive research division for the San Antonio Mining Company and Dreyfus Industries. Project Insight is also the reason KDS Deep was made. It's so that they can secure all of the artifacts and keep it secured under KDS control. And while under the control of KDS and Project Insight can do experiments with these artifacts. When you pick up the data cube in D4, you're transported to random parts of different Earths and different dimensions / timelines. It's hard to explain, so we're just going to move on. So, we get the data cubes, and then we escape the expedition. With that, we move on to Rundown 6 Extended. To start Rundown 6 Extended, we start with Expedition BX. In BX, we're attacking the coordinates for Alpha 3. Alpha 3 is another outpost like Alpha 1 inside Arizona. During BX, we travel to Outpost Alpha 3, and we get the coordinates, but as well, we meet a new enemy. In the files, it's known as a Shocker. What I like to call it is the Sauced Meatball. It's the same thing as the Meatball Monster, just way more armored than normal Meatball. Anyways, the prisoners get the coordinates and escape the expedition. After that, we move on to Expedition CX. In CX, we were tasked with fixing the power for Sector CX. It has been tampered by an unknown persons. It's most likely Schaefer trying to screw with the Warden. After the power is up and running, we escape and move on to DX. In DX, we travel to Outpost Alpha 3 and are tasked with establishing an uplink between Alpha 3 and the Warden. The prisoner successfully established an uplink between Outpost Alpha 3 and the Warden. On the way out, the Warden tasked them with verifying the status of Specimen 22. I'm not going to go full into detail on what Specimen 22 is, just know it's a genetically modified super soldier created by the Warden in order to be invisible to the eye of the sleepers. But we find out through a bunch of logs that Schaefer, beat the guy to death with a goddamn pipe, as any rational human would do. Actually, Schaefer's not rational. Is he still human, technically?
You see, this is why we can't have nice things, Barry! You asshole!
Anyways, after we verify the status of Specimen 22, we escaped and Rundown 6 extended. With that, we are now caught up on the lore from everything from Rundown 1 all the way up to Rundown 6. I'll be going over the lore for Rundown 7 sometime this weekend or next week. I'm going to be working on the video on Saturday. Hopefully I'll get it up by Sunday. If not, it will be up by Monday. Thank you all for watching. Have a good day.